Greetings, good people. What's up? What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence, and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics, broadcasting live and direct from Zimbabwe, Africa. In this video, we're going to be talking about South Africa's latest Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. We're talking about none other than Gayton McKenzie, who is also infamous for castigating Zimbabweans, ordering Zimbabweans to return back to their home. So he is now the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. Now we're going to be talking about how he made his millions from Zimbabwe in mining and also involved in fuel deals. Gayton McKenzie is not just an ordinary person, but is a person who is streetwise. He is a person who is very, very streetwise. His political party has 9 seats in the South African Parliament. 9 seats out of 400 seats. And he sees himself securing a ministerial position. Sports, Arts and Culture. Now, Gayton McKenzie is an ex-convict. When he came from prison, he ran a club in South Africa alongside Kenny Kunene. And there Kenny Kunene was known as the sushi man. He served sushi on the bodies of naked women, just to get a glimpse of who Gayton McKenzie is. Because what he was shapes who he is right about now.
Through the river, going past crocodiles. I went with an investment of 10 million US dollars. And I said to the Reserve Bank, here's my 10 million US dollars. Let me invest in your country. And I made money. Not only in Zimbabwe, I'm an international business person.
Gayton McKenzie, an ex-convict who served time for armed robbery, has made millions in Zimbabwean mining and fuel industries.
10 years ago, Gayton McKenzie was released from a maximum security prison in Bloemfontein.
In the year 2013, we see him in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe with Louis Figo, trying to sell him a mine. Same year, on October 4, 2013, we see him in a photo with xenophobia, and he captions, "Hello Friday, that was me, Gayton McKenzie, and our geologist. Expect to find me wherever there is making money involved." Back in the year 2017, Gayton McKenzie and his best friend Kenny Kunene are very close to South Africa's President Jacob Zuma. Their close relationship with President Jacob Zuma was said to be having a strong influence on him. They were titled the New Guptas. That year, they were linked to 5 billion BEE deal involving a Russian company, Rosgeo. Now Rosgeo operated in Zimbabwe. The year we see with xenophobia posting an image of him, Gayton McKenzie, and the geologist. Gayton McKenzie has leveraged partnerships to establish substantial presence in the Zimbabwean mining and fuel industries. While specific names of his business partners in Zimbabwe are not frequently disclosed in public records, it is known that he has worked closely with high-ranking officials and entities within the country. For example, he has been seen with Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa, indicating a level of cooperation with the Zimbabwean government. Now commenting on the image of him and Emmerson Mnangagwa that went viral, he captioned, "In 2006, I visited Zim for the first time. I saw opportunity and invested in Zim. I disinvested in 2015. I met the current president when he was still DP. I entered Zimbabwe legally, gave jobs to Zimbabweans in Zim. I don't hate Zimbabweans, I just love my country, I'm an investor. In his caption, he says that in 2006, Emmerson Mnangagwa was deputy president, but at that time he was not yet deputy president. He was the Minister of Rural Housing and Social Amenities, and this was widely seen as a demotion by Mugabe in retribution for Mnangagwa's involvement in the plot for him to become the vice president over Mchunu. In his own words, Gayton McKenzie says that he left Zimbabwe in 2015. This is the same year we see the Russian geological exploration company Rosgeo leaving Zimbabwe. Spanning from the year 2006, a South African company linked to Gayton McKenzie was involved in various fuel deals with the Zimbabwe government. Now, around this time, Gayton McKenzie was very close to Jacob Zuma. Alright, now, Gayton McKenzie was very close to Jacob Zuma. I'll just put the link to that short version in the description below. Now, Gayton McKenzie and his friend Kenny Kunene, at a time, they are very close to the South African president at that time, Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma, who happens to be very close to Robert Gabriel Mugabe and his wife. At that time, we are seeing again Serwikneo Chivayo mixing and mingling with the Mugabes. Here, in the year 2013, we see Serwikneo Chivayo posting an image of him and Gayton McKenzie in Zimbabwe with a geology surveyor. This is the time where we would have seen Gayton McKenzie benefiting from South Africa's economic empowerment program. Now, this guy was a very streetwise guy, a mastermind. Back in South Africa, he was making money writing proposals for people willing to get into the mining and for people willing to benefit from the South Africa's then BEE program, which was a basic economic empowerment program. So, this relationship with the South Africa's government, the ANC, and also Jacob Zuma draws similarities to Serwikneo's Kutiji. Take note of that. Anyways, coming from prison, Gayton McKenzie also established himself as an author, and he wrote several books. One of the books which he wrote is, he has a Hustler's Bible. There's one called a Hustler's Bible. Then The Uncomfortable Truth. Then Kill Zuma by Any Means Necessary. The Choice, the Gayton McKenzie story, his own biography. So in South Africa, that biography, it became a bestseller. Now, there are links in being a motivational speaker and author, a public speaker, and doing consultancy work. He is also involved in mining consultancy. In mining consultancy, a mining consultant, employee or worker, what they do, they may be involved in the actual setup of a mine, and sometimes government makes it mandatory for you to be working with a consultant. Like at the border, it may be mandatory for you to work with an agent. Anyways, it's not mandatory for you to work with an agent, just in case you are being closed by agents. Okay, they usually tell that lie. Okay, or maybe as a property developer, they will say you need a developer for you to be able to develop your land for commercial purposes. So, things like that were happening in Zimbabwe during the Robert Gabriel Mugabe either. So yesterday I tried to track the links. I found out some information, but I found out some names of individuals, but not names of specific companies involved. Gayton McKenzie is not a dumb person. He's a very, very clever person. Here we see him here. This is an image captured from a prison expose which he did. He was involved alongside 3 others in prison, exposing prison corruption, where drugs and other things were being sold inside prison. And this expose is that which would see him securing an early release. I'm just going to show you inside his prison cell. Right. Oh, this is the prison cell. Let me just look for other views. Take note of all the boxes that are inside the prison cell, all those commodities there. There are 2 scenes. There is the prison cell and the kitchen. Everywhere in those 2 rooms, we are seeing commodities. Now, that's another view here. We can see there's a television set there, and what looks like a DVD player or a VCR there, a water heater there, that looks like a safe. That is from inside a prison in South Africa, right? So he is somebody who could run the prison from inside the prison, running such a sophisticated empire in prison. That is the person we are talking about here. So such a person can get links and access anywhere. If they can control a prison warden, then get the prison warden fired to secure their release. They can capture even a president. Capture in the sense that presidents are captured, not in the cool sense. A president can be just captured softly, and the guy will be just benefiting in the background like they do. Enough respect to everybody who is watching us live right now. SA is okay. Okay. I'm not going to read that comment. I don't know. Maybe you can give me the context on that one so I can comment on it. Chadi Aniki. Tommy Hood, enough respect. Ayanda Gilboy. Mr. Mabahane says this one. Okay. I'm not getting this one. All right. Up and down, and all that one. Big up to more Keynes. Thank you very much for that positive feedback there. Now in Zimbabwe, and we see again September 2013, we see Gayton McKenzie with Luis Figo from the Real Madrid here. This guy, as he said, they met in Europe at a business expo, right? And Gayton McKenzie is selling whatever he's selling to Luis Figo. Then he manages to bring him from Europe into Zimbabwe to get him to buy a mine or to invest into mining. He doesn't take Luis Figo to South Africa. No. He takes him to Zimbabwe. Now, there's been speculation that this guy is Zimbabwean. Speculation which he denies. There are some who claim that he stayed in Gweru, he impregnated a person there, etc, etc. All right, I'm saying impregnated a person to make it sound like it's a crime. So sorry for that. There are no other ways to say it. Anyways, okay. So we see him with Luis Figo when he comes to Zimbabwe. So he's in company of another Zimbabwean who is still in mining up until today. Gayton McKenzie claims that he disinvested in Zimbabwe in 2015, but that is just a claim. I was checking out one of his books, A Hustler's Bible, right? And one of the quotable quotes in that book is on success is when you get success, you should keep quiet about it. Something like that. So, being somebody who was a criminal, he knows how to evade, or rather, how to remain anonymous, or how to protect himself. Being a criminal is not, of course, we have petty criminals, right? Overall, all criminal is petty activity, okay? But the level of criminal activity that Gayton McKenzie was involved in, bank robberies, armed robberies, it doesn't involve just holding a gun. When you have a gun and you say, I'm a criminal, I'm now robbing banks. No. You have to be a mastermind who is very smart for you to be able to do that. You have to be able to plan, to investigate, to observe, attention to detail also. So to a certain extent, he had the brilliance to do that, and that brilliance led him to him getting arrested, right? So he may have learned from whatever happened to him in terms of his mindset when it comes to strategy wise. So that is Gayton McKenzie. He's in Zimbabwe. Around this time, he said to be doing mining consultancy. So is he doing it in Zimbabwe also? Back in South Africa, he would have secured another deal with a Russian geological explorer, Rosgeo, which would be operating in Zimbabwe again from the year 2013. Do they come to Zimbabwe through Gayton McKenzie, or Gayton McKenzie comes to Zimbabwe through them, or they don't even come to Zimbabwe, but it is Gayton McKenzie who comes to Zimbabwe claiming to be their agent? One true fact is this: he was very much involved in Zimbabwe. The simple fact that he himself hasn't come out clear on what exactly he was involved in means that either he's trying to protect his trade secrets or it is something deeper. As of South African records, Gayton McKenzie is said to be worth 4 million. But here, I will take a listen again.
The issue that I'm having is if they can, I didn't go to Zimbabwe through the river going past crocodiles. I went with an investment of 10 million US dollars. And I said,
all right, here it says, I went to Zimbabwe with an investment of $10 million, and in an image of him and President Emmerson Mnangagwa that he posts, he captions it. I began going to Zimbabwe in 2006 when he was deputy president. At that time, Mnangagwa is not yet deputy president. He might have had a low position or what was deemed as a demotion as Minister of Rural Housing, but he was very powerful within ZANU-PF. There is a misconception that Mnangagwa was against the vice president of Joyce Mchunu. Actually, the time Joyce Mchunu was made the vice president, it was time that Mnangagwa was set to become the vice president. Then Mugabe shifted the goalposts and decided on a female vice president, bringing in the issue of gender equality, and just said that now we want a female vice president. So there were some things happening there. Now, on this image, we see Mnangagwa and Gayton McKenzie and Mugabe is in the background there. Which office is this one? I don't know if that office was still there in the year 2006. But in 2016, I consciously remember this office. I'm not suggesting that I went there. I just know of it. Anyway, I research stories. Okay. From 2016. So maybe Gayton McKenzie might have made an error where he says 2006. If he was in Zimbabwe in 2016, then his claims that he disinvested in 2015 will be a lie. So I came across his links, his South African mining links, with links to Zimbabwe mining. Not his direct links to Zimbabwe mining, he himself directly, but his South African links with the links in Zimbabwe mining. Or his South African links who mine in Zimbabwe. Did he operate through them? Or maybe he did consultancy work for his links as a motivational speaker, as a consultancy, as an author, and also as a mastermind. So I also got a chance to listen to his speak, where he says Zimbabweans need to be told the truth, where he was saying Zimbabweans must go home, etc, etc. Okay. This guy, remember, he's a public speaker, he's a motivational speaker. He has his script. He has his script on operations, on how to operate, the things to do, noted as a template. It's not like he's an active thinker or an active minder, but he has his script which he abides by in his action or in his discipline. I'll use the word discipline. So maybe you can check out some of his video clips and listen with that mindset. He's a guy who knows what to say, not because he thought about it. He researched it. Okay, he's not active. So the aspect of discipline. 2002, he is in prison. 2003, he is released from prison. 2005, he releases his book. Then he is establishing himself as an entrepreneur. 2007, motivational speaking. 2012, various entrepreneurial activities, including mining, logistics, and other sectors. Take note, logistics. 2013, we see Mackenzie founding the the Patriotic Alliance, not Democratic Alliance. Again, the name Patriotic Alliance, its alliance, or how it sounds similar to Democratic Alliance, can also give us also an insight into the mindset of Gayton McKenzie. So he became involved in politics, advocating for social justice and economic empowerment. it is around the same time we see Jacob Malema forming the EFF. Remember, these guys are coming from the ANC together. So we see Julius Malema forming the EFF on 27 July 2013. Then we see Gayton McKenzie forming the Patriotic Alliance in the same year, 2013, in the month of November. Big up to Muzintuli. Ishe 247 says he is now introduced Afrophobia to South Africa football. So Gayton McKenzie is a person who is used to being in control. He's a person who is used to being in control. So he may have some tendencies of being a tyrant. Big up to Mabuza Jr. Enough respect. Ishe 247. So he is aggressive and also a tyrant. However, it doesn't make his claims false. The things he'll be claiming, even though he over-exaggerates, in doing that, what he'll be doing, his issue is not about Zimbabweans. His issue is about the mindset of South Africans. When South Africans hear you saying Zimbabweans must go home, they will vote for you. So it's political rhetoric. He's doing that. He was doing that for political mileage, trying to use some true facts like the undocumented Zimbabweans in South Africa. However, he is not well versed in law because he was claiming law Zimbabweans are not documented, etc. Not documented does not mean illegal. It means not documented. Okay. Not documented does not mean illegal. All right. So we have people like asylum seekers. You being granted an asylum is your international right. Nobody has the right to deny you things like asylum, etc. You can only be denied asylum when your claims are false. So when we have situations that are said to be known and you make a certain claim, I'm just giving an example of a specific situation like on asylum seeking. So most of these guys politicking, they are very ignorant, and some Zimbabweans actually fall victim, especially in South Africa. There is an organization there, a xenophobic organization, I'm forgetting the name, that moves around Joburg, evicting people, etc., etc. Those people actually must be taken to international court, and they should be facing the same court that saw people like Saddam Hussein facing, because they are taking lives. It's actually terrorism. Like, I'm not exaggerating or using political rhetoric. It's actually terrorism. When people are banned in the streets like that, it's actually terrorism. Worse than terrorism. Worse than those guys who are said, okay, I'm not going to give names because most of that stuff is propaganda. Anyways, so that is Gayton McKenzie. Now we see him becoming a minister of sports. Whatever he has done, it has seen him becoming a minister of sports in South Africa. Discipline in whatever principles that he abides by. Trust me, that guy is not an active thinker, but he's very disciplined. He's well learned and well experienced. I give him that. Martin Chijara says it's called Dudula. Yes, that Dudula movement. Yes, that Dudula movement. That Dudula movement is a group that is run by overzealous people. Overzealous people in its literal meaning. They are overzealous. vanedzungu rekuita zvavari kuita because vanofunga kuti vari correct, right? So they are delusional, actually, their mindset. So mindset, South Africa, Zimbabwe, those things, right? Of course, as members of a society, when foreigners do not behave in your community, right? For example, zvinhu zvakafanana nekutengesa zvinhu zvinodhaka, right? Kana kuba, those things, a society and the community has to act on it, right? By reporting those things to the police and the police making the arrest. But when we see those are that is scam of a group, it's actually a fraud. It's actually a fraudulent organization. It's actually a registered organization that operates there, which advocates for xenophobia. All right. So most of the things they claim on foreigners, they are true and false. Munyika mese ungazochaiwa nemuforeigner arikuita chimwe chinhu chiri illegal. It's impossible. Just because wanzwa nyaya ye1 hauna one wawabata, it doesn't make it necessarily true. So anyways, those guys, they are delusional. They don't know what they speak about. So they're just ignored, just like the same way Gayton McKenzie can be saying whatever he'll be saying. Another incident, sometime when Jacob Zuma was president in South Africa, I think it's around 2013, he incites xenophobia again, Jacob Zuma, in South Africa. I think he was speaking as a chief somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal. Then he incites xenophobia. So when we see a group of imbeciles in society who organize themselves in a money-making scheme and call themselves an organization advocating for xenophobia, I'm deliberately cutting myself. I'm deliberately doing that. I'm not being deliberately incongruent, but I'm just putting a few facts on this one because I have now begun deeply thinking of this Dudula thing. It needs to be stopped. Okay, it needs to be stopped. There's some small fish there. They are very easy to deal with. There might be many in their country with territorial etc, but a lot of other organizations can be involved in this. Organizations like Human Rights Watch. Okay, this is actual serious terrorist activity happening in South Africa. Anyways, I'm going to sign out right about now. Dr. Clarence is the name. TV7 Live is the channel. Enough respect to Sol Mupure, Martin Chijara, Charles YouTube. Enough respect to you there. Mabuza Junior, Mzulin Tuli Ishe 247, P. Mokins, Ayanda, Jill Boy, Chadi, Aniki, Tommy Hood, and everybody who was watching us live. As always, thank you for watching, and I'm out.